Hello children, my name is Vishali Karandikar and I am going to teach you 8th ICSE Biology. Our today's topic is reproduction in plants and animals. This is lesson 2 we are covering today. In first session, we have discussed about reproduction in plants by asexual method. Asexual, now you very well understood, you have understood the types and the different kinds of the vegetative propagation also, artificial reproduction also, or we can say artificial vegetative propagation also. Now here we have to discuss about the advantages and disadvantages of vegetative propagation. That was the part which is left, and after finishing this part we'll come to the sexual reproduction in plant. So advantages and disadvantages. First, advantages. They don't require any medium, they don't require any parent, that is the first thing. Then they cannot produce viable seed they are not producing, so they don't require seeds also to grow into the new individual. Then the plant is capable of its mode of reproduction, can survive in unfavorable condition, like we have seen in the spore formation, that spores are produced by plants and somehow afterwards when they are having a favorable condition they can grow into the new individual. Then such plants attain maturity earlier than those produced from seeds. This is a very important advantage of the vegetative propagation, that they attain a maturity level earlier than in comparison to the plants which producing seeds. Fine. Then as the feature and the qualities, because they are growing from their own parents, so obviously there is no variations in them, because whatever the genetic inheritance their parents are containing, the same is passed into the generation after generation. So there are no varieties or no new thing that they are having in them. So the yield is also not very good in that sense. So that is that is a disadvantage. That is a disadvantage of that. But sometimes this also is advantage, that they don't require, or they are disease free also, because they are having their own generation, their own parent, their own heredity continuously going on. So in that way they are having an advantage also and disadvantage also of that. We are talking about the disadvantage afterwards, that the first vegetative propagation result in the production of offspring having same genetic or hereditary, as I have already explained in the advantages, but you can take it as a disadvantage of vegetative propagation. Fine. Then vegetative propagation allows a plant to produce a large number of offspring, because they are growing from their part of their parent, and that is why they are part of the parent. They can break into so many things, so many pieces, and they can take out many offsprings. Now but we are coming to the sexual reproduction in plants. Now what is sexual reproduction? So first of all, sexual reproduction means first require two parents. Each parents give each parents are giving 6 cells, or we can say gametes. So first of all, sexual reproduction in plants, if we are talking, it requires two parents, means one is male and another is female. Then these male and female, these sexes, or you can say gametes, the sex cell of male is called sperm and sex cell of female is called ovum. So in that way they require two parents. After that, what happened and how they produce. So first of all, before going on the sexual reproduction exactly, we have to find that the type of sexual reproduction or the type of flowers, those who are having this type of sexual reproduction, isn't it? So in that way, we are coming to the unisexual and bisexual flower. And when we are coming to the unisexual and bisexual flower, after that we are coming to the parts of the flower, then pollination, then exactly fertilization, how it happens in this session. So here, first of unisexual flower and bisexual flower. Now before going this, just simple thing is, in a flower, four parts must be required. The first one is calyx. Second one is corolla. Third one is androecium. The fourth one is gynoecium. Out of this androecium and the gynoecium is the female and male part, male and female part respectively. But what about calyx and corolla? Yes, dear children, here we can see a green color structure of flower, any flower, say China rose, any flower. If you are holding in your hand, you will have a stalk from which you hold the flower, that is called pedicel. After that, you are having some green small leaf-like structure which is called calyx. Generally they are green, so they are participating in photosynthesis also. Then we are coming to the petals. Every flower is having of petals, different type of, some are white. In China rose, they are nowadays we are having orange, pink, white, and generally red we are having China rose petals, that is called corolla. Now why they are important, we'll see afterwards. And here in between China rose, this type of structure we found, that is called androecium. And here gynoecium, part of gynoecium actually here, ovule are present over here. So before we are coming to the unisexual and bisexual flower, first of all we have to learn about what are the parts of the flower. So there are four parts of the flower. Four parts of the flower are this. First part is calyx, which is green structure, I show you. Then corolla, petals, attractive part of the flower. Androecium, male part of the flower, and gynoecium, female part of the flower. Now coming to the unisexual. Unisexual means the gynoecium and androecium are on the separate flower. It means the flower is containing only one part, either male part, either female part. So that is called unisexual flower. Okay. Now what are the unisexual flower? Bottle gourd, they are having a flower, they are unisexual. Bitter gourd, Karela, we are generally talking in daily language. Lauki, Karela. Pumpkin, maize, they all are unisexual. Maize, bitter gourd, bottle gourd, and pumpkin. They show the unisexual flower. Unisexual means in these flowers, they are having either male part, either female part. That is why they are called unisexual flower, right? Now coming to the bisexual flower, the rose, China rose, or we can say Hibiscus rosa sinensis. Okay, they are bisexual. Now what is this bisexual? Bisexual means the flower containing both male as well as female parts in it. So these are the two flowers which are considered as bisexual flower. Now we are coming to the individual part. Now calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Calyx and corolla I have explained you by giving you the example of green part of the flower and the colored petals of the flower. Coming to the androecium and gynoecium. This is the main part of any flower and they are called stamen. This is the filament, this is the anther. Inside the anther pollens are present over there. And inside anther, when pollens, this anther when broke open, then these pollens are spread out and they move towards the female part of the flower if it is a bisexual, and if it is a unisexual they have required some agents to reach up to the stigma of the gynoecium. Now here we can see female part, male part. I am showing this because after that we will see the fertilization also over there. Now this is the anther. Now anther broke open, the pollens grow and pollens come out and stick onto the stigma of the same flower or on the individual flower, because same flower if the flower is bisexual. Fine. If the unisexual flower, then they require some medium to reach these pollens up to the stigma of the same species. That is very required. It is not possible that anther or the pollens of any other, or say we can say rose from the China rose or the maize, no, not possible. Of same species. That is very important. So this is the male part and this is the female part. I have already shown you. These are called carpels also. This hole is called pistil. And this ovule, the arrangement of the ovules is called the placentation, and this consists of this is I am showing one. Some flowers are also having 2 or 3 types, so they are called, this is the one carpel. Some are having multi-carpellary ovary also. So in that way the carpel word is also used in connection of the female part of the plant, right? Now unisexual, bisexual, we have already learned what are the unisexual, what are the bisexual flowers, what are the parts of the flower, that we have already known now. The parts of the flower, what it is exactly called. If we are talking about the gynoecium, they are having a stigma. See the structure of the stigma, how it looks like. It is a like table, like small table-like structure, then it is a slender style or tube-like structure which is called style, and after that a swollen ovary in which the ovules are arranged. The arrangement of ovules is also called placentation. Here in the anther, or we can say androecium, we can say that these are called stamens. In stamens, it is also divided into 3 parts. That is a long tube-like structure which is called filament. Anther is like this double structure, and inside it the pollens are present. So all is very well known now. What is exactly the flower structure? Fine. Now we are coming to the pollination. Very important term regarding reproduction, especially sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction require pollination. Now pollination is also of 2 types. First is self-pollination and one is cross-pollination. Now self-pollination means what? Just understand this. This is the flower. This is the male part of the flower. Fine. Now here the anthers are there. Anthers, now you understood well. Pollens are coming out and they dropped on the same plant's flower, or we can say the flower of the same plant. Understood? Pollens are coming and dropped themselves on the same flower of the same plant is called the self-pollination. Means transfer of pollens from anther to stigma of the same flower of the same plant or of the same species is called self-pollination. Now see the cross-pollination. The anther from this transfer to the another flower of the same species. Species is not different. Means if it is rose, this is also rose. If it is jasmine, this is also jasmine. If it is maize, this is also maize. That is same species. So the pollens, transfer of pollens from one flower to another flower of the same species is called cross-pollination. Understood very well? So these are the requirement of the sexual reproduction, because if the pollination is not there, how can the pollens transfer into the stigma and how can the fertilization occur? But now for these, especially self-pollination doesn't require any factors, or you can say any requirement of anything, but cross-pollination required some agents, and these agents are what type of agents? Means in cross-pollination generally we require agents. Why? Because pollens transfer from one flower to another flower of same species, right? This is same species. But now the agents are required in the cross-pollination. Obviously, first is wind. The second is insect, third is water, the fourth one is human being also. So the first one we are talking about the wind, that is anemophily. Insect. Now wind. Because of the wind, pollens, with the wind they can throw out, or with the wind they can taken out from the flower, or from the one flower and reaches on the another flower. So that is why it is called wind pollination. Means transfer of pollen is occur because of wind. Now insect pollination, that is called entomophily. Anemophily, entomophily, hydrophily. So insect, you have seen many bees sitting on the flower, and on their body some pollen stick. This bee is if possible they sit on the next flower of the same species. These pollens will be dropped on the stigma of the another flower. In that way the insects are very helpful in the cross pollination, and that is why it is also known as entomophily. Water pollination is generally known as hydrophily. It means hydro stands for water. Generally this is seen in Vallisneria, hydrilla, the plants which are aquatic plants. Obviously in aquatic plants some part of the flower, or we can say androecium, or the pollens carrying part is floating on the water, and with the water they reaches to the female part, and in that way the pollination is occur. Then artificial pollination. This is generally done by human beings. Now what is this exactly artificial pollination? Artificial pollination generally done when the male part and the female part are not grow at the same time. So when, if in any case male part grown enough but the female part is not ready, so we cover that male part with the some hindrance or some plastic bag, so that the cross pollination or the self pollination doesn't occur. And when the female part mature, at that time these pollens which are now covered will be taken out, that cover is taken out, and these pollens by human being spread on the stigma of the female flower. So in that way the humans also involved in the process of pollination, and this is called artificial pollination. This is generally we are seeing in the ornamental plants or fruit growing plants. And the individual which is coming out from this pollination or after the reproduction, the process is called hybridization, and the yield which is generated by this means is called hybrid. You have seen now your mother is generally speaking in your home that tomatoes are nowadays hybrid. They are not Indian or they are not desi. What is this hybrid? This hybrid is generally artificially pollination done by the human being. And these humans are involved in that type of artificial pollination, and that is why it is the generation which is coming out is a very good quality, and they are known as hybrid generation. Now we are coming to the fertilization in flower. I am showing it by the diagram. Fertilization process in the bisexual flower. Now here the pollens are there. This is stigma. Pollens are the male part. Stigma is the female part, right? Now these pollens are dropped on the stigma. Now not every pollen is fertilizes this ovum. This is ovary. Okay. Now one of two pollens grows into a pollen tube-like structure by some chemicals secreted by it, and they are coming inside in the ovule or ovary. This is the entry point, is called micropyle. Now when this pollen is converted into the pollen tube, or it can grow a pollen tube, they are having germ cells, or we can say male gamete. Actually they are having generative cell and male nucleus, two male nucleus and one generative cell. Children, you understood that the pollens dropped by the pollination on the stigma. Not all the pollens grows into a pollen tube, but some of the pollens, they by chemical means they are secreting some chemical and enzyme, and the tube-like structure is formed. Now in this tube-like structure, they are having some male gametes which comes under with the help of this tube and fuses with the ovaries, or we can say ovule here. When the fertilization occurs, it means ovule fuses with the male nuclei. and form zygote. Here the zygote is formed because the fusion is occur over here. Mean the pollen grains, pollen tube is carrying male nuclei. Out of that male nuclei fuses here with the ovules present inside in the ovary. Fusion takes place, and because of this fusion zygote is formed and zygote develops into an embryo. Generative cells work in your syllabus, it is not very well defined. So afterwards we will see in the higher classes. Right now only you remember that these pollens are carrying sex cells which is coming from the tube. This tube is taking these male nuclei and fuses with the ovules which is present in the ovary, and this I am showing in the bisexual flower. And then here the fusion occurs. This fusion is called fertilization. After fusion, fertilization, zygote form, and after zygote when it divide, embryo is formed. And after the embryo, when embryo formed inside in this ovary, calyx, corolla, everything dropped out or they degenerate, we can say. And now this ovary and the embryo again form into a new flower. So in this session we have studied about pollination. What is the pollination? Sexual reproduction in plant, type of flowers, that is unisexual, bisexual flowers, parts of the plant, essential and non-essential. Now what is essential and non-essential? Essential parts are endoecium and gynoecium, means male and female part of the part is called essential parts. Calyx and corolla are non-essential parts of the flower. They may be present, they may not be present, doesn't matter. But essential parts must be present in the flower. When unisexual flower, they are having a separate male and female part in their own individual. Bisexual, male and female part are present in one flower. Then we are coming to the pollination, self-pollination, cross-pollination, agents of cross-pollination, wind pollination, insect pollination, water pollination and artificial pollination done by human being. And the yield produced by the artificial pollination is called hybrid, and the process is called hybridization. After that, when everything is done, we have come to the fertilization part. What is exactly fertilization? I have shown it through the diagrammatic representation. This diagram of the pollens forming a tube. In this tube, sex cells are found, or the male gamete you can say, and that male gamete fuses with the nucleus. They enter through the micropipe. This is the entry point of the pollen tube, and pollen tube fuses with the egg cell present over here. After fertilization means when they met, that is called fusion. After fusion, that is forming of zygote. Zygote changes into the embryo. Meanwhile, the calyx and corolla degenerate and the ovule is formed. That ovule grows into a new flower. So in that way we have completed this in this session, that sexual reproduction in plant. In the next session will come to the sexual reproduction in animals, especially humans. Thank you.